So today we are going to be talking about propagation, and we're going to be talking about propagation for a lot of different plants, but the basics are taking your existing plant and multiplying it. It's going to be different for each kind of variety. There's a little bit of different stuff, but overall, it's fairly similar. First things first, you always want to sterilize whatever you're going to be using for cutting. This is some 91% alcohol. You want to use something over 70%, or else it's not going to get all of the gunk that's kind of stuck on your shears. So give them a few little snips so that it gets in between all the little stuffs, and then you are good to go. So first thing, we're going to be doing a Pothos. Tried and true, these guys are super easy to propagate. So the first thing that you'll want to do is kind of look at where the nodes are. A node is wherever a leaf kind of connects to the stem. So you can see right here, there's a couple nodes. So you just want to cut in between. So you can just cut straight in the middle. I usually cut as close to as you can to whichever node that you're going to use. In my case, I'm probably going to use this node right here, because then this whole thing can be my new cutting. So you want to cut at a 45-degree angle. The reason you want to cut at a 45-degree angle is it gives you more of a rooting area, more water uptake. It's better for the kind of success of the plant. So we cut at a 45-degree angle right at where you want the propagation to start. And this whole thing can just go straight into some dirt. And that's pretty much it for a Pothos. They're very, very easy. You'll want to water this guy in. And with these guys, I pretty much never recommend rooting hormone or rooting powder, anything like that, because these root so well on their own that they don't need any assistance from a hormone or anything like that. So these are just good to go. You water like you would your normal plant. You definitely want to make sure it's not sitting in water. You want to avoid root rot and all of that stuff, but these guys are super duper easy. You can propagate a plant to just make the original plant fuller at the top. So that is another way to kind of propagate. Instead of to make more plants, it's to make your original plant fuller. So our Tradescantia is very, very similar to our Pothos in where it has little nodes. These are a little bit easier to see because they tend to bend at every node. So especially with this one right here, he's got a very noticeable bend at each node. So that makes it super easy to be able to kind of identify where they are. So this one, since it's got two kind of offshoots of the main kind of stem that's coming off over here, I will cut this main stem, the longest one, to propagate it back into its original pot to make it fuller. We will want to cut at a 45-degree angle right before the node. So that is going to be what's going to go into our soil. And then there is the kind of stick that's left. This will not grow anything new. It's just going to kind of sit there. So I tend to like to just cut it right before the leaf. We can take our cutting and prop that straight into our soil. Since it was kind of trailing down, it does kind of stick up a little bit, but it will eventually kind of start to trail down again. So this is to just help your plant stay full. Because sometimes, especially with the Tradescantia varieties, they can get a little bit sparse at the top once they start getting long. So this is definitely something that you can do to prevent that. So with these guys, most times there's more than one mother plant in the middle. So you could technically separate this plant. You can kind of see it's got two mother plants in here that you could separate out. But most times what people think when you're propagating a spider plant are the babies. This will be the pup that we will be looking at. They go by a bunch of different names, pup, like a baby, a spiderlet, anything like that. But we are going to be separating this from the stem or the runner of the mother plant. So these guys do not need the runner to be able to kind of root. They will be rooting from their own kind of base, it will eventually start growing roots. Even if you leave them on the runner for longer, they will start growing roots before you even put it in soil. So you can wait until that point where they have roots so that you can just immediately plant that into soil, and then it'll have kind of a jump start. And so I will be cutting him off of the runner, just like right at where the runner ends to the spider plant. And you can kind of see here, there is another baby that's going to be coming out right at this kind of leaf. I'm going to leave that so that that baby can continue to grow. And so you'll have another one very soon. These guys put off little babies from these runners constantly. So we are going to cut this guy again at a 45-degree angle. And we are going to put him straight into the soil. Now I took off one of the bottom leaves just because it's if a leaf is going to be completely submerged into soil, it will not be viable. It will basically just end up rotting underneath the soil. So anything that's going to be completely underneath the soil should be removed. So this guy was removed, and that was it. And he will do just fine with normal kind of watering and light. When they're young, they might need a tiny bit more water, just because all of their roots are going to be right at the very, very top of the soil. So they'll need a tiny bit more water, just a little bit more care to make sure that the soil isn't going to completely dry out. But after that, they are going to be just as healthy and happy as the mother plant. So with Calathea, they are a little bit different from the ones that we have been propagating, like our Pothos and our spider plant, in where we cannot just like cut off a leaf and then stick the leaf into some dirt. With something like this, we will have to separate. So we can kind of see here that there's some leaves that are a little bit farther away than the others, and that's usually a sign that it has kind of separated off of the mother plant and kind of made itself a new plant over here. With something like this, you can pretty much see that this is a clear offshoot, a new kind of plant that's coming off of this main mother plant. And so this guy, you would pretty much have to snap off. So let's see if we can get this nicely. Yep, perfect. And it's got its own root system. You can see where it was originally kind of attached to the mother plant. And it's just kind of like a small area where it was attached, where it kind of grew off of the mother plant. But then this can be its whole new kind of plant that you can propagate into something else. And then this can be potted as well and just kind of exist as its own being as well, and it will kind of shoot off more. This one is the start of a new offshoot. You can kind of see by the color, it's very light. So you can see that this guy right here is a brand new leaf, and it will continue to shoot out new leaves kind of coming up from the top. Next plant we are going to be working on is a Sansevieria. So with Sansevieria, they're kind of similar to the Calathea in where you have to kind of shake out the roots and kind of see where the pups kind of come off of. Woo! Guy has a really good root system. The roots will be that nice orangey color. And you can kind of massage down here and see where those offshoots kind of attach, and then those can be kind of broken off and separated. So yeah, this is the mother plant. So we kind of massage these apart. See, they have their own root systems apart from the mother plant's root system. So all of these can be their own little plant. Last thing we're going to be propagating are succulents. So these guys are probably the easiest to propagate because you just kind of have to wiggle off a leaf. And this guy just gets kind of plopped on top of soil. Mix the soil every day or so, and then you'll start getting babies off of the leaves, kind of like this guy. And then once they're big enough, you can just take these guys off and start rooting them without the leaf. You can keep the leaf on there. Just depends on how you want it to look. The only thing you want to look out for is incomplete leaves, so you can see the difference between all of these. This guy right here, it has like a good chunk out of it, and so that is taking away some of the places that this leaf would root, because they pretty much only root from the very, very top. And something like this as well, it has a very, very low chance of rooting. There are other ways that you can propagate. You can string these guys by kind of piercing the middle of the leaf and kind of just letting them air root, which is an easy, low maintenance way to kind of get a lot of these rooted quickly. To learn more, you can visit us at Alsop Home and Nursery or come to alsophomeandnursery.com.